Yeah.
Huh.
So do you hear the music?
Yeah.
Okay, it's working this week, y'all. Last week it did not work. Hi, everybody. I'm Sergio. This is Reality Breached Live, our live broadcasted podcast that we do every other week via Twitch and YouTube, and it's an actual podcast. I'm your host, Sergio. I'm here with the other white guy who's always here, Reed. How's it going, Reed?
It's fine. Are you white?
I claim to be white. That's all that matters, right?
Maybe.
Can I Rachel Dolezal my way to being white?
Maybe. I'll have to look up who that is.
Oh, it's this woman. Oh, hey, cat. It's this woman who was born white, but it claims that she's black. And like, if you see her, like she's like permed her hair, and like her skin is just dark enough that it's kind of believable. But if you look at pictures of when she was a kid, she was like blonde-haired white girl.
Yeah. That's kind of who I thought you were talking about, but I still I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I felt like there was an alternate person who's black but looks light skinned enough that she could identify as white or something like that. Kind of what's the rapper's name? Logic. I think he's the same way. He gets confused as
Yes.
white on a hard regular basis.
No, I think he actually has like black in his blood. This lady doesn't.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Reed, I don't know if you noticed, but I put on a hat during the intro. See it? Huh? You like it? You like it?
It looks like. Oh, you want me to come in and look? Okay, let's.
Yeah. Pop on in here.
Oh, I see it. I don't get it, but
it's the notorious Atari speaker hat.
What is the Atari speaker? What is that?
Speaker hat. It's got speakers in it.
What the fuck is that hat?
So they're Bluetooth speakers. So like
electronic hat?
Yeah. So like if I were to use this a lot, I'd have to charge my hat.
Stop.
Yeah. It's the Atari speaker hat. It was supposed to be like part of Atari's big comeback. It's like, oh shit, Atari's back. We're gonna have speaker hats in hotels.
What the hell? I mean, isn't that kind of isn't that a bad spot for speakers?
Well, I don't know. I should probably try it out.
I mean, maybe it's logistically where they can put it or something. I get it, but in my head, I'd feel like you'd have it on the sides, just above the ears or something.
Yeah, like in my head, it would probably be easier to have the hat be like the hat Kyle wears on South Park.
Yeah. That I was just thinking that the ones with the call them dog ears, the winter hats,
put the speakers in there.
Yeah, just have them there, and it goes right in. Yeah, I don't know how worth it that is, but
yeah,
you'll get excessive amounts of bleed out of that. So I don't know how that is.
What? Like if your ears were where your eyes are, these would be perfect.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, in that sense, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to take this off. It's terribly uncomfortable, but
something about that hat like the hipster version of a beer cap. I don't know.
I wouldn't even
I,
say hipster. I would say it's more of like a skater version of a beer cap.
sure, maybe skater. It's definitely a workshop thing, but either way, it definitely fits in the category of a beer hat.
Yeah. And yeah, I should probably test it out to see if it sounds good and works well. But yeah, Atari was supposed to be like this big, like, oh, we're making hotels and shit, and they've announced that they're not making hotels. The speaker head is basically
Gimmick.
discontinued, and I got it on sale at Best Buy for like 33% of the original price,
Which was how much?
like $150. It was expensive when it originally came out. Hi. Oh yeah. This is Reality Breach Live. We typically have a topic or two or three topics or, stuff to talk about, but nothing big has happened in the past 2 weeks, at least not on the entertainment side of things. The world is crumbling beneath us in real news, but we don't cover real news.
Oh no.
Yeah. So Reed, this week he was adorable. He actually planned for the podcast, which I'm not trying to throw him under the bus, but that's a new thing for him. So,
and he
so he sent me this list of topics, and he sent them via text, and I was like, okay, whatever. Maybe we'll get to this list.
That was not how it was. If I'm gonna get thrown under the bus, I'll put you under there. It's like, I don't want to talk about that. That's what was originally said.
Well, originally I was like, I have some issues with some of these topics, and I still do. But I figure, you know what? We don't have anything else to talk about, so let's just go through those topics.
Well, before we, commit Harry Carey into that, we could talk about Better Call Saul if you have caught up to it.
I have caught up.
Yeah.
That was one of the topics I wasn't excited to talk about.
Why?
Well, because I'd like to talk about it once it's over. I don't want to throw predictions out.
Well, we don't have to do that. We can talk about what we think about things just thus far, assuming you've seen yesterday's.
Yes, I watched yesterday's episode. I don't know if I'm liking how this show is ending.
I don't know if I am either. I'm going to reserve to see what this last episode is exactly, but I'm not sure I'm really caring for it either. The last episode definitely left a funny taste in my mouth in how, what's her name, Marion? That's the older woman's name.
Uh-huh.
That felt for a lot of I feel like the show earns a lot of stuff that it does, a lot of the choices characters make, and all those kinds of things, and how events unfold. That felt a little contrived to me. That she just puts it together. That I'm gonna go. I think this is somebody, and I'm gonna go find him. And oh, look, it's Saul Goodman, that hoodlum, that criminal con man.
So,
like, she jumps immediately to look up con artist.
The way I make that make sense in my head is her son is a known idiot, and it's very likely he's been taken advantage of by con men or con people in the past. So,
sure.
For her, knowing the history of her son, she likely is just Googling, or in this case, what did she say? Ask Jeevesing.
Which, okay, dude. But I guess that was relevant at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So it's not as far fetched as oh, look, I searched con men. But I do see your point. Like, it's not nearly as earned as the rest of the show. I'll give you that.
And I'll give you that. Yeah, fine. It's not a Hail Mary out of nowhere Deus Ex fuck Saul Goodman shit. Fine, it's not that. It's absolutely not. It just felt a little bit too much. They didn't give enough reasons for that to come up because she barely has any reason to think that to get into being nosy about it. And I don't think she's been presented as an excessively nosy character. Yeah, we see her. She sees her son and Jean in the garage in the couple episodes ago, I think. So, all right, fine. All that, but that doesn't mean she didn't see anything. Yes,
Well,
suspicious they're out late, sure.
like
I
her
get it.
son. I guess we should have prefaced this as spoilers, but like her son got arrested, and the name Albuquerque got thrown out somehow.
It did, yeah. The breadcrumb is absolutely there. That's why it's
Yeah.
not a Hail Mary Deus Ex, and it's not. I get that. I guess I just wish they gave it one more little bump or two to give her good reason to just jump to this conclusion so quickly. Slash, she's this suspicious of a character of her son and all that would have satisfied it. It just felt she went real quick to find him, and
Yeah.
it just happens really fast. So that's all.
Yeah. And as for how the show is ending, what's crazy is I don't know if I like how it's ending, but I also don't know if they're doing anything wrong. Like the only thing that they might be doing wrong is them wrapping up the Lalo shit like 4 episodes before the end of the season.
Yeah, I could see that, but with an asterisk saying, "Well, it depends what the last episode does," and all. I do think that could have gone on one more odd episode or something. I felt since we hadn't talked about any of this stuff since before Lalo gets killed, I think
Mhm.
we talked before that. I thought the Kim leaving Saul part was really fast. That just happens, and then she's
And then
gone.
some, yeah, then they immediately cut to him as Saul Goodman in his, infamous Saul Goodman office.
Yeah, and it's been the Gene thing since then. And maybe that was a little jarring to me too. It's not terrible. It's not. I'm not saying it's even wrong. It just I guess I didn't expect that. I didn't expect them just to have her say we're done and walk away and start taping up her boxes, and that's it. That's the end of that.
Yeah, and to their credit, I feel like that's exactly how that would go down. Like in real life, it's not gussied up for television. It's just shit goes down, and she's like, "I gotta get out of here. We're toxic together. Bye bye."
Yeah, it is.
And
I think that's a bit of a subversion, but yeah, it's not crazy. It's not wrong.
yeah, and I feel like all of the episodes after that one have been like an epilogue to the entire series.
Right. Yeah, yeah. We're definitely this is faux his El Camino
Yeah,
for that
yeah,
character,
yeah, yeah.
which
And
is interesting, you know?
it was cool seeing Walter and Jesse.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was necessary to the story at all. In fact, I don't think it was at all.
I think it's supposed. I have to rewatch that episode because I don't remember my thoughts on it as much, but I'd assume that was supposed to be a parallel to what's happening to him, is my guess. I'd really have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I'd probably have to too. It was cool. I feel like there was more value in the conversation between Jesse
Kim
and Kim.
Yeah. Which yeah, I liked that too. That kind of gave us, I'd say closure, but that's maybe not the best word. Gives us an idea where she's really at with him. Where she puts the hood on. She's like, he was when I knew him. So that's a real
Yeah.
send off to their relationship in a way at that time.
Reed, what are you doing to your hair?
You mean?
You just keep playing with it. Sorry, it's no. I guess I'm still not used to doing this on video because I'm like, Reed, what are you doing?
Yeah, I am. I'm just kind of playing with my hair, playing with the back of my hair.
Well, do you want to go down this list of topics one at a time, or do you want me?
Let's go ahead and just start with you for the moment because I definitely don't have it pulled up. I'll have to bring it up on my screen here.
All right, let's talk about the Warner Brothers Discovery merger.
Okay.
So this isn't news per se. Like this was announced months ago that was going to happen, and that the tangible results from this will be HBO Max and Discovery Plus. Max? Yeah, HBO Max and Discovery Plus are going to become one app.
Uh-huh.
That's how consumers are going to see it. But on the back end, there's a lot of weird decisions being made, and that I want to jump directly to Batman, or I'm not Batman, Batgirl.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, that's why I would think it's interesting. Like you said, maybe it was announced a long time ago, months ago. Sure, fine, but from what I understand, some of these cancellations are pretty fresh. These
Yeah,
cancellation removals of content.
yeah. Honestly, I don't even know about any other removals or cancellations. The big one is Batgirl,
Yeah,
because the movie is basically done, or at least done by what they originally were shooting for. Apparently, they showed it to investors, or they showed it to someone important at this new, company that's being merged, and they said, "Fuck this, we're not going to release it."
mhm,
Um, so apparently, it wasn't good enough, and they thought, we have two choices. One, we can cancel the project, write it off as a tax write off, and not lose that much money, or we can pump a shit ton of more money into it, finish it,
yeah,
make it good, and then like release it to what HBO Max and not make a profit on it, because HBO Max is not a pay for play situation. It wasn't going to come to theaters, so they had already spent $90 million on it. So it's going to be a tax write off.
yeah, yeah. For the loss aspect of it, from what I understand, I think that's exactly, or well, I'll say it this way, that's one way that I heard it talked about,
Uh-huh.
is that them doing it this way guarantees them some money back on it. Whereas
Right.
if they pumped it, and if you said this exactly, I apologize. I'm really not trying to reiterate the same thing you might have just said. If they didn't do it now, they wouldn't have the same opportunity of saving their money, or
True,
or
because
giving.
they spent the money this year. I
Yeah,
guess with the logic behind it. And Woodan Ball in the chat had pointed out that they also killed a finished Scooby movie, which I
yeah,
would
yeah,
assume,
Scoob. Yeah,
yeah, I would assume is a sequel to Scoob, which was a Scooby Doo movie that came out during the pandemic.
and that was, I was less familiar with that. I didn't know how big or high profile Scoob was, so I didn't think much of it. But that sort of leads into that they removed, like, a lot of kid-oriented content when I was saying that they removed things. So, some of the things that they removed, one of them being vinyl, this might mean more to you, was something done by Martin Scorsese, a series.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Okay.
mhm. Let's
Didn't
see.
didn't you didn't you also say they removed Sesame Street?
Yeah, I'm not seeing that in this list that I'm just glancing at, but yeah, I was led to believe that Sesame Street and, what was the other one I said? Sesame Street and something else were removed as well, so they're, like, just really cutting back on some of their content. Says Looney Tunes was the other one that I saw.
Why would they pulling it from streaming services doesn't do anything? Now, if they're halting production on new stuff like that, that would affect the budget. But if you're just taking it off of HBO Max, like, what are you gaining from that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to see if I can find it real quick, but I'm having a hard time because where I originally saw it in a video disclosing all this kind of information, so I'm
Uh,
probably not gonna find it as easily. Um,
like,
but yeah, just the idea that they're removing stuff and quietly, like saying the vinyl thing, they didn't mention that, or it's not at least as advertised, like
mhm,
Amy, Amsterdam, An American Pickle, At Home with Amy Sedaris, Camping, Charm City
mhm.
King. So just,
I'm familiar with a few of those.
yeah, just several things they just taken away for unknown reasons.
Like, if it's anything they don't own, I understand that that makes sense.
Yeah,
But if it's
and that's
something
fair.
they own, that doesn't make sense. Um, One thing I don't know how closely you follow this, but Kevin Smith actually said some shit about it today.
Oh,
And
okay.
typically, when Kevin Smith opens his mouth, I don't listen when it hits news because I follow his podcast, so I'm gonna hear it anyway. But this one was significant. It hit a lot of different outlets, and basically he said, "Why are you canceling Batgirl? Like at worst, that's going to be as good as a show on the WB. At worst,
Probably, yeah.
and if you're going to put that on streaming services, there's no loss there. What you need to cancel is The Flash."
Yes, yeah. That was one other thing that I heard too. It's strange how they'll remove, like you said, Batgirl, but then all the heat around, and I don't even know it. This is just more of what I've heard, so I'm not
The
understanding all.
Ezra Miller shit. Yeah.
Yeah, the heat around Ezra Miller has been bad enough that why are they not removing that? But they're removing
Yeah.
Batgirl, which just maybe didn't test well, which isn't the same thing.
Yeah, he jokingly said that Ezra Miller is in real life reverse Flash.
Kevin Smith said that.
Yeah. Now, me not being a Flash guy, I don't know what that means, but I figure you'd get a kick out of it.
He's basically just an asshole.
Okay, then yeah.
He's the Flash, but he's a big giant asshole.
Then yeah, that tracks. What other topics do we have? Oh, you mentioned canceling CNN Plus.
Yeah, and again, some of these things that I put in here were meant to be bite-sized if we cared about them.
That's
only
been
out.
gone.
Huh?
What's that? Go ahead.
My understanding of this is that that this program had only been active for about a month or so, and then they canceled it.
Yeah, it was a terrible idea to start with, and they were right to cancel it. It's wild that they did it so fast, but it's definitely because of the merger.
Yeah.
Let's see.
VR got bumped up $100.
Please, let's talk about the Oculus shit because
and I picked this one because I thought you could talk about it. I thought you liked the Oculus, or at least knew about it.
Yeah. So the Oculus, what is it, Quest 2, or the Meta Quest 2 is what it's called now officially.
I thought it was. Is it not the Oculus? Is that just not its name?
I'm pretty sure they dropped the Oculus branding on it recently.
I thought the Quest VR, or I thought that was a different VR.
No. It's it was the Oculus Quest 2 is when it was launched, is what it was called. And
okay.
If I remember correctly, it was last month a $300 headset.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's $400.
Yeah. So,
and keep in mind, it's been out for 2 years.
And is it selling well enough?
That's where this is why I wanted to talk about this. Like, basically, what this tells me is the Oculus is dead. Like, it's fucked. They're done, because I can't think of a single console that went up in price after it came out.
I was about to say, if you're suggesting that this infers to you it's dead, I feel like this is the other way. Like, if something's dead, they're trying to sell it, I would assume. So they would drop the price. They wouldn't raise it. Well, I get why they might raise it too, to get the most out of it until it's dead. But
yeah, like, if they were selling enough games to offset the cost of the actual construction of the headset, then you wouldn't raise the price. You would lower the price. Like that's historically how it's always happened. The first PlayStation is like $400, and then a year later it drops to a year and a half later it drops to $300, because either the parts got easier to make, or you've sold so much software that you're able to offset the production costs, and you're able to drop it even more. This just tells me they're not selling enough games to make that money back.
I can see that.
Now, this may just be me looking at this from the wrong, perspective, but historically, it just doesn't make this doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think it's insane. I mean, frankly, I don't probably know enough, but I don't think what you're saying sounds strictly wrong. So we'll just have to see, right, what
Yeah,
pans
yeah.
out next 6 months to a year for it.
Now, I have an Oculus Quest 2, and it's a great headset if you're a VR guy. But if I'm going to throw two quick complaints, is one, games are expensive and they don't ever go on sale.
For the Oculus, or do you mean just at all?
The Oculus, ever. Like you pop on PlayStation right now, there is a sale happening. You pop on Steam, there's probably a sale happening. If not, there's going to be one 2 or 3 weeks from now. Microsoft, there's always shit on sale. The Oculus store has a tab for sale. Every single time I go to it, empty. Completely empty.
Okay.
Now, flip that on its head and say, once you understand that Steam VR games, like VR games that you buy on Steam for their whatever the hell their headset is called, are typically cross-compatible with Oculus. So users are buying games that go on sale on Steam. Oculus is seeing no money from it. Meta or Facebook or whatever, they're seeing no money from those software purchases, and then their headset is being used to play games on another platform
that were maybe bought on sale.
Yes, yeah. So just have better fucking deals, Meta.
You call it Meta, and I've heard that's supposed to be the name of it now. That brand doesn't seem to be that can't be good enough branding, because if it was, would they not have renamed the application, the website, the program, Facebook? Would they have renamed it to Meta or Metaverse or something? And why are those things still? Why is that still Facebook?
So previously it was Facebook, and everything lived underneath the name Facebook. So you had Instagram, Facebook, Oculus, and whatever, WhatsApp, all the shit that Facebook owned. That was the company name. They've rebranded at the company level to Meta, and all of their products are Facebook, Quest, Instagram, WhatsApp, and
they maintained it. Okay.
Yeah, and Meta's a fucking dumb name, but if you think about it, Google did the same thing like 8 years ago. Do you know what the parent company of Google is now?
Alphabet? No, I don't think
that's correct.
Is it?
It is Alphabet, which is it's fucking dumb.
That's dumb, but I feel like that sounds like a dumb they know. Like it's not.
They're in on the joke.
Yeah, they're in on the joke, or they know it's stupid, or it's a placeholder name, or they don't give a shit. Meta sounds like a name you're meaning to be clever for.
Yeah.
What was the name of the bar in Gone Girl? Wasn't it The Bar? Or some shit? Ben Affleck's character's establishment or sisters? Anyway.
I'm going to the bar. Where? The bar. It's like when you name a bar the library, and you can like, oh mom, I'm going to the library.
Well, yeah, somebody has to ask, like, which one? Just to be clear, parents, be safe. Your kids are liars.
Kids are liars. Yes.
Let's see the next one.
Yeah, what's the next one?
Well, no. Do you have something else to say on that?
I guess the last thing. The only way the $100 increase makes sense is if they aren't selling any. So yes, if what I just said and all the software is being bought on Steam, then them raising the price $100 makes sense because the only money they're getting is from the sales of the hardware. So fuck it, let's just price gouge.
Is that I will ask this because this is interesting enough to me that I don't know enough about it. So Steam can sell game. So does Oculus make any games of their? Do they have first party games at all?
I believe there's some first party games that you can only buy in the Oculus store.
So something about this on somebody's end, and I don't know whose. The fact that Steam sells games at a discount that can be played on Oculus that you could buy on the Oculus store but are not discounted, is one of them kind of screwing the other one, or is one of them being dumb? And I feel like it's the latter.
I would say it's the latter.
Okay.
Because they're the odd man out here. They're the ones who never put anything on sale.
So could Oculus just as easily, they just follow the trend of Steam effectively, right? Like a game, they basically keep an ongoing change or rotation. If Steam is selling this game for a discount and it's on our platform to be able to be played, then we're also going to discount it.
They could do that. And they're Facebook, so they have the money.
That seems like minimum what you should do. But maybe I'm wrong.
So what you're saying is price match is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, basically they should price match. I mean, surely getting a sale is better than not getting one at all.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's dumb. Okay, yeah, let's move on.
All right. The next one, I'm going to do this one because I thought it was very humorous to myself, so maybe I'm alone here. The Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard is going through its process of seeing and checking if it's okay, if it's a monopoly, that type of thing. And I'm paraphrasing, so excuse me if I say this a little incorrectly, but they're going through this process, and I'm going to just call them NDAs if they're not specifically. People aren't supposed to talk about it. But funny enough, Brazil either let it leak or didn't follow the NDAs or something, that Sony's commentary on the acquisition got put out saying that the properties that they had, and I'm paraphrasing what was said, but the properties that are being purchased by Microsoft are so big and so important to the games industry that somebody like Microsoft shouldn't have it for exclusivity concerns for those games and for the industry. And the reason this is even getting mentioned at all is because that's ironic and humorous for Sony to say that with their long history of exclusive content on their platform, and many of which have been system sellers, literally and toted as. And they're the ones calling out like, hey, these are pretty big properties and you shouldn't have exclusive rights to them. So
I get what you're saying. I don't think Sony is saying exclusives shouldn't exist.
No, sure.
But what I'm hearing is Sony saying Call of Duty is what holds the gaming business together. And for them to just take it, that's a significant enough drain from, our bottom line that it creates an unfair business practice.
Yeah, and I get that. And maybe their framing should have been a little differently. The way they said it could have maybe been better put. That said, though, talk about framing. The even funnier thing that's overtly funny is that Microsoft came back playing down their acquisition about Microsoft or about Sony's comments, saying these properties really aren't that amazing. I don't, there's no. Why are you mentioning this, Sony? What are you doing? These properties aren't that good, which is kind of standard fair language, I would assume, in a business context, that you kind of downplay your stuff to keep it or to have it or whatever. But this is too much when you spent make sure I'm right. That's $70 billion on this shit. You can't play that down anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Like
No
you
amount of
kind of have
pay-
to admit, like you either overpaid or
Yeah, sure
you're
did.
buying
You
something
did.
really important.
Right. So
There, there's no wiggle room there.
there's really not. They really could have just said nothing. There's just nothing to say. Or at the very least, if they're gonna say anything, say what we've said. Say what we brought up. That like pot calling the kettle black, Sony, something like that. Talk about their exclusivity if you're going to talk about anything.
Like the only way that sentence makes sense to me is if there's like a second sentence that says the reason we're paying $70 billion is because of King.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like that was the only way to get these properties. We had to pay this.
Yeah. Like if we're
Oh, oh,
breaking down the 70 million
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
or
Okay.
70 billion, like Call of Duty's only 2 of that billion. 65 billion of it is buying King Industries. Or is it King Industries or King Digital Entertainment or whatever?
Yeah, something like that. But no, yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, let's assume the breakdown was even close to anything like that. Yeah, that would have been great. And I wonder if that's kind of telling in some way, because if that was true, you think they might infer that, maybe not literal numbers, but they would say, "Oh, no, King was probably the bigger part of our acquisition. Actually, that's why it was so much." But they didn't say
Yeah.
that. They didn't say that. They played it down.
Yeah. Because King is, I would say, King's properties are like that doesn't pose
Like an
a problem
industry.
with yeah, an industry like it's not like them buying King changes Sony's position in the market at all.
Yeah.
Because
I've
King stuff I don't think is on PlayStation consoles.
no, I
Like
think
that's all mobile gaming.
right. I was about to say all that stuff's mobile, so surely they are talking about your Call of Duties and maybe Overwatch to a much lesser extent.
Diablo, all of the all World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft, I would think, is a little less, right? Because it's not like that's on Sony's platform
True.
in the first place. But Diablo, yeah, that is another example of it too. I would still just and to be fair, this could just as well be ignorance, and I just don't understand. I find it so hard to believe that Call of Duty holds the same clout it did 10 years ago in in sales, so to speak. That if Microsoft had an exclusivity to it, even a timed one for a year, that would just tank Sony's bottom line so bad if they didn't have access to it.
Like my understanding, I don't have numbers in front of me, so I am kind of pulling this out of my ass, but my understanding is that even when Call of Duty flops, it still outsells 90% of the industry 2-1, 3-1.
Okay.
Like that's even when it has a shitty year. Again, those numbers may be wrong, but yes.
That sounds kind of. I feel like I've heard that same comment, so I think you might be right. And you can, if you care enough, you can look up the last couple of them and see how they sold while I'm going over the next one.
And actually, I would say it has even less to do with how many copies were sold because they make so much money on the back end with like what is it, Call of Duty Warzone? Like,
yeah,
my understanding is Warzone just prints money.
Oh, I definitely don't know. I didn't even know Warzone had a monetary connection. I mean, it makes
it is
sense.
Free to play, but it definitely has a
it's probably microtransactions, I guess.
Yeah, you can definitely give money to Activision. They'll take it.
Yeah. What's the next one then? We touched on Better Call Saul, unless there's anything else you want to kind of.
Yeah, no.
One thing I'll leave on with that. Well, two small things. What a turnaround on Kim and what she is right now, right in the future timeline.
Yeah.
such a mundane version of what she was before. And what a derpy dipshit motherfucker they got to play her boyfriend or dude she's dating. That dude is banging her, going, "Yep, yep,
Yep.
yep."
Yep. Yep.
What do you mean?
it's
Oh my
like
God.
it's like getting fucked by a minion.
That's not bad. Like, oh my God. He was doing that, dude. I was just thinking to myself, like, what have they created in this moronic character? Holy crap.
Like, I feel like the situation that she's put herself into, because it's very much voluntary, is like a mirror. Is holding up a mirror to basically how she feels inside. To get pretentious and artsy for a moment, like she has been miserable for 6 years, knowing what happened to Harold. Harold?
No.
Harry? What's the dead lawyer's name? The Hamlin guy?
I was about to say that his last name is Hamlin.
Yeah. Howard. Yeah, there it is. Ever since, like, that was Kim's breaking point. And she was able to hold it together long enough to finish out that story. But it's clearly been haunting her for 6 years. And the breakdown on the bus, like, tells us that she's finally able, she finally is deciding to do something about it.
Yeah. And talk about one of those things. This is kind of akin to what I've said to you in the past, and I hate that I'm saying this to what this moment was in the show. When I've watched, sitcoms or Rick and Morty or whatever else we've ever talked about, and I say, I appreciate that humor a lot, but I didn't laugh at it. The jokes are good, and I know they're good jokes. They sound well written, but I'm just not laughing out loud at them.
Mm-hmm.
Where I say that akin to that scene. What a really good emotional breakdown of a character in a moment, and she does it so well. And I just hate so much that I couldn't empathize to actually cry about it in the moment.
I thought you were going to say that you laughed out loud.
No, look, okay. I never was gonna laugh out loud, but I definitely did have dumb thoughts in my head as in something like, so to her left, you see this couple kind of obscured by like the railing or a bar or something, but you see them keep turning their head a few times toward her, just enough. You can't see their faces, but I'm definitely thinking the whole time, I was like, are these people? I really had an exterior thought of it, because she's just having a moment. What a thing to have in a public transportation. But I don't know, man. I would think somebody would come to her and, like, are you really try and comfort her, and you see somebody's arm come off screen from off screen to comfort her, because recent travels I've been on, public transportation that I'd never been on before, subway and all. Man, and so that's my best I could do to try and connect to that scene, and her reaction was, man, if I saw somebody on the train just bawling, desperately bawling, what would I do? And I would think I would approach them and just check on them, but it's crazy to, and maybe that's the logistics of the scene. You can't have all these things, but
man, no, and
I'm doing.
I would expect you to be the person who's like, ma'am, are you okay? What's wrong? Like,
yeah,
I can promise you most people are not you in that scenario.
I imagine it's true. And if I was with Amber, Amber would go do it immediately. I wouldn't even have to prompt her, funny enough.
Yeah.
It's a really strong scene, so I'm interested to see where all that goes.
Yeah, as I said before, I don't really want to get into theories as to how it's going to end. I just figure we'll talk about it a little bit next episode.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, this is the only theory I would go through, and it's barely a theory. You'll be fine with this. Do you think Saul is dead or alive into the series?
I think he's alive.
Alive?
Yeah, I don't think he's put himself into a position to get killed. I think it's probably sadder than that.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah. Do you think he's a free man or is he in jail?
Oh, you're forcing me to do theories, Reed.
No, no, that's it. This is it. Do you think he gets
'Cause
away with it or not?
hell no. I
Okay.
think that this ends the same way Seinfeld did.
In a jail cell?
Everyone in jail. Everyone
Okay.
but Carol Burnett.
Is Who is Carol Burnett? Is that
That's the
Francesca?
mom. Yeah, yes, that's the mom. No, not Francesca. No, she goes to jail too as an accomplice.
Does
It's
she?
yeah.
In Better Call Saul?
No,
Or
in this prediction that I'm not giving you.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no, Carol Burnett was the mom.
Okay. Oh, you're talking about Jeff's Marion.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. We'll move on. The I want to go to this last one, because I think this is faster, and the other one is something we could chew on a little bit longer with the time we have left.
Okay.
Um, I at least wanted to acknowledge that Multiverses has come out and had its open beta, and it's just come out from Evo and had its tournament run there, which was really satisfying. Really not bad. Not a bad go for that game. And
Mhm.
I'm kind of saying it that way to not one to encourage people to go watch that tournament, particularly the semifinals and finals or grand
Mhm.
finals, but not to give away anything stand out that happens. But it is certainly worth watching if you're interested in that game. And in addition, this game is really interesting in that its initial on open beta release a few weeks ago, its concurrent player count was 153,000 or something like that, or over 150,000,
Mhm.
which is phenomenal for a fighting game to have. Free to play model or not, and that's sure that's probably a big reason why it's that many people.
Mhm.
And that it's cross platform as opposed to being locked on one. Something like a Street Fighter Five is just PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
And
So,
PC. I think it's on PC.
well, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. So for it to have that kind of player count, and I will double check this again real quick if I can find the refresh button. There it is. Make sure this date as of what I'm looking at. It's saying that the current Multiverses Live player count is about 100 over 140,000 players.
Wow.
So it's just something that game has done so well, at least on the player count side of things, and
Y-
kudos to that. And I
y-
think this is just PC, maybe.
no. No, I'm pretty sure it's out on more than one platform.
Oh no, no, you're right. It's absolutely out on all three platforms. I'm saying that this player count is
Oh.
only
Okay. Okay.
that it does not include PlayStation or does not include Sony and Microsoft.
Oh, that's
And
wild.
yeah,
Yeah, I haven't played it, and I don't want to.
yeah,
it
I don't think you'd like it
it
if you don't Smash Brothers, especially.
well, I love Smash Brothers.
You
Love
like
Smash Brothers.
concepts or playing it?
I like playing it. I like the characters. I like the experience. I like Smash Brothers.
Okay,
I'm not great at Smash Brothers. Um,
sure.
I don't play online. I'm not excited about showing off my skills. I do have a main, but no one has ever seen it.
Uh-huh.
So I have the best Smash Brothers game that I paid $60 for. I don't need this free to play shit that I'm not going to play with other people that has characters I don't give a shit about.
Hmm.
So this game isn't for me, but I feel like the game is kind of has a perfect storm surrounding it in that it's
Yeah.
actually good, which no one predicted that it would actually be good, and two, it's free to play.
Right. It's I think it's those two things, and I do think the IP is important.
I don't think it's nearly as important
It's maybe not as high, fine, but I think it
as it
is.
being good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, maybe then the IP is more mixed into it being good because you look at something like Nickelodeon All Stars. I think it was hyped and looked at really well on release, but then tapered off over time in a negative way.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I don't think anything super negative other than the tapering off. Of course, that is negative, but like
yeah,
the reason Nickelodeon All Star Thingy Brawl got so much attention is because when you are making a Smash Brothers clone, you get attention.
well,
Whether you want it or not, you're going to get attention.
yeah, but these two are a little different because they do have beloved IPs behind them.
Hmm.
Nickelodeon has such iconic nostalgia driven characters, very good characters for people to like. One of their main things, and I'd probably stand by this, that was so bad for them that I wonder why it didn't happen earlier. But when the game came out and was coming out, they did not have voice acting for those characters,
That's
and
correct.
all
They did not.
and all of the characters played pretty identical, from what I understand, outside of a special move or two.
Hmm.
So in the show that they didn't have much. The characters that you're playing as, good mechanics or not that they may have been, didn't have much identity, whereas Multiverses has a lot of identity in those characters
Hmm.
through getting all the voice actors for them that they did. Most, if not all, are original are the voice actors for those characters, uh, and their play styles and their character animations for moves are just somewhat love letters to those characters. Like just so much. Like you Tom and Jerry's a character on there, and you're
Hmm.
primarily controlling Tom and so the way they play is he's a projectile zoning back range character is the main way he is. But the way they function is through the move set, it is Tom trying to murder Jerry and Jerry not getting murdered, or try and do their Tom and Jerry hijinks toward each other.
And it happens to hurt the people
Yeah,
around them.
yeah, it plays out in their game mechanics. Where, say, for example, I think this is a move, but you get the idea. If it isn't, you throw Jerry across the screen. Jerry counts as a projectile, can hit a player. Jerry is now over there wherever he lands, and you can swing a bat and hit a ball at. You're swinging it at Jerry. The ball is going at Jerry, but of course it can hit the opposing players. And Jerry's dodging it or catches it and throws it back at you. Just stuff like that. So they're very deliberate in how they design their move sets. If I recall, you like the Iron Giant, don't you? The
I
movie.
do. Yes, that's a fantastic movie.
Yeah. If you ever cared even for a minute to look at it, if you just look at the Iron Giant's move set, his normals, his specials, his jumps, all of it, you will see many references to that movie. One of them is where he pulls out a car and his attack is just bonk, 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 bonk on the car, which is the same thing for the movie when he sits on it and the horn goes off and he just starts smacking it to turn it off.
Okay. All right. So it that feels like a good Smash Brothers clone. I played All Star Brawl because I'm required to by law as the host of the Shellheads podcast. And it's kind of I even played it after they added the voice acting, and it's kind of soulless,
Even with the voice acting.
even with the voice acting. And I feel like it tries to live more on the strength of the IP. Like if you like SpongeBob, let me check out All Star Brawl. If you like Ninja Turtles, check out All Star Brawl. Even though they only have 2 of the 4, which is
Yeah.
bullshit.
That really does sound kind of bullshit. Like, who else do they have? Don't they have April?
They have no. They just have Shredder.
Okay, so 2 turtles and Shredder.
Two turtles and Shredder.
I could have sworn I saw April in there, but yeah.
Wait, she
like,
might. Yeah, she's in it. Yeah, April's in there.
Well, but either way, I mean that's still fine. You still have how can you add half of them? How do you add half of them? I could sooner, funny enough to me, I could sooner see you add one than two. If you add one, fine. Pick the most popular. You had two. What are you fucking doing? Just put the other ones in there.
Yeah,
Jesus.
like
Your roster.
It's just very weird to me. It's very weird to me.
Yeah, it is strange.
But back to the strength of the character. Like there is inherent strength to the Nickelodeon characters.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna get an audience regardless.
Mm-hmm.
This multiverses game, it's like the character choices are coherent in that they're all owned by the same company. That's all apparent from the movie Space Jam Legacy.
Right. Yeah. That movie says a lot for us now.
But that's it. Like, there's nothing else holding this together, and I don't feel like any of these properties, except maybe Rick and Morty, none of these properties are strong enough to draw someone to the game.
Oh,
okay, I guess the DC universe as well. DC universe and Rick and Morty, but
they at least have DC, and they have Batman just by himself, right? And incidentally, they have the Trinity in the game currently. So they have Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman.
Yeah.
So they definitely have that, and not to mention any other villains or because that's a funny thing people really said. There's no villains in the game, really. Funny enough.
I don't know. LeBron James.
I mean, that depends if you're a Lakers fan or not, right? Or something.
I actually love LeBron James. That was very mean. I'm sorry.
And he's a really neat character, by the way. If you ever, you understand the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
Game, but just look him up sometime if you even care. He's a really interesting character. Talk about kind of not love lettering, so to speak, but really getting an essence of the character, because his whole gimmick is he has a basketball, right? He starts with it and he uses it as a projectile, and he can lose it, and then he can call for another basketball, or if he eats another condition, he can just gain a basketball back. But he can just do all kinds of shit. He'll just throw the basketball at an opponent. If it hits the opponent, it'll bounce back to him. He can catch it back and have it to do his stronger normals and all kinds of stuff. It's a really neat character, and they definitely got some. From what I understand, they got some meme as one of his move sets, or as part of his move set. It was like doing this gesture.
Yeah.
His arms out.
Yeah. That's from a finals. It's really funny. We're running out of time, Reed.
Yeah. TLDR. I get you think those things, but they really do put some care in the way they constructed the characters and their moves.
Yeah, and that's fantastic news. Like, I guess the point that I was trying to get to was this should probably be a free to play game, in that it's pretty desperate for its characters. Like, if you were charging $60 to $70 for this game, and you're anchored by Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, like I don't see you adding very many sales by putting Tom and Jerry in the game. You're not going to get a giant swath of Arya Stark fans buying multiverses.
Right.
So making it free to play makes sense, because it's all just it's kind of like a ball of rubber bands,
Okay.
Like, every single rubber band you add makes it bigger and better, and it bounces higher and shit. But none of the rubber bands themselves can bounce.
I see what you're saying with that. And I can understand that. I would go so far as to meet you in the middle and say, if they were going to make this a pay game of $40, $60,
Yeah.
they would have to have doubled that roster because there's only
Oh,
about
without a doubt.
15 odd characters in it right now.
Oh
Before
well, it's still open beta, right? It's still
yeah, but just the
yeah.
same, even if whenever the game actually comes out, and I feel like just because this whole closed beta, open beta, all this, the way this is being done,
Mhm.
if it came, it would come out sooner as a released product. I don't know. Anyway, by the
Yeah,
time it's officially released or whatever, it's out of beta. Whenever that shit
mhm.
happens now with these kind of games, they'll have had so much time and added so many characters. I don't think that's the characters they would have had if today was the release date. They
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the same volume of characters, probably.
And if this ends up being really popular, there is as they keep acquiring more and more companies, there is
Yeah.
no end to who could be in multiverses. Like 3 years from now, John Oliver is a playable character in multiverses.
Oh my god, and
You
that's not
know?
even that's not even talking about their guest characters that they could have, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's a big thing from Smash Ultimate. They don't own Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII, but he's in that game, right?
yeah, yeah. Final
So
Fantasy VII wasn't even on a Nintendo console, but let's not get into that. Uh,
yeah,
Reed, we're out of time.
all right,
I thank you for joining me today.
yeah.
Um, where can you be found?
Uh,
Do you want to plug anything there, big guy?
no, not in particular. The only thing I will plug is that we may be starting up debriefing and cocktails again, or at least a few additional
Mhm.
episodes with some content that of some of the movies that we didn't cover that aren't in the main franchise or games, something like that. We're still kind of working around that. But other than that, no, I can't really be found anywhere. Social media is not for me these days.
Well, I'm Sergio. You can find me everywhere at LAUGEAUX. Listen to Debriefing and Cocktails, listen to Shellheads, and I like and subscribe all of this stuff here. We're on Twitch, we're on YouTube. If you're hearing this as an audio podcast, congratulations, you have found our podcast feed. And tune in next time.
Yep.
Thank you for
Thanks.
listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for existing. I'm Sergio. Bye.